Okay. Welcome to Jesus TV. Welcome to Jesus's master class. We'll start with the end in mind. The end is this. Jesus wants to have me love him with all of my heart, might, mind, and strength. Well, that is impossible unless Jesus gives me some reason to love him more than I did before. And that's exactly what he has been doing, is giving me a reason to seek him and to love him more than I did before. The principal way in which he does this is he gives me this thing called the more Jesus feeling. It feels good. Maybe that's what people in the scriptures talk about. Have you felt to sing the song of redeeming love? And I'd say, well, do you mean, have I felt that more Jesus feeling? Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I have felt that, and I hunger and thirst after that. Jesus wants me to interrupt this program to do what Nephi liked. Nephi said he liked plainness. You could say he liked blunt language. Perhaps he did. I know I do. I also like parables and metaphors, esoteric language, artistic license. But this is what I want to say clearly. That which Jesus has me calling the more Jesus feeling, what is it? I'll tell you what it is. Jesus will tell you what it is. Jesus is telling me right now what that is. That is spirit possession. Look up Alma 34:34. Look up Alma 18:34 through 35. It is spirit possession. Spirit possession feels good. And perhaps the devil's spirit possession feels good, and that's why people get possessed of that spirit. Perhaps. But the spirit that to me feels best is the spirit of Jesus Christ. Think about the sacrament, that we may always have his spirit to be with us, to be beside us, to be with us, in us, like a piece of sacrament. So I want to say bluntly here that what Jesus wants is what I've found that I want. I want to be possessed by the Spirit of Jesus Christ and the Holy Ghost and the Holy Father, Heavenly Father, whom I admire most. However they work it, that Spirit that fills me, that I can feel, that feels good. And it's designed to, because it is our home. It is what we seek. Him. He. Jesus, our only joy be thou, as thou that our prize will be. Just to be clear. I want that throughout my life and throughout eternity. And so how do I get that more Jesus feeling? How do I love Jesus more than I did before? Well, only he knows. And only Jesus knows, because Jesus created, well, you could call it a secret combination. Probably a better word for it than that. He coded my DNA. He coded my DNA like he coded the duck's DNA. Jesus coded my DNA. He gave me weaknesses and such so that there would be certain things that would turn me on, that would make me excited about Jesus. And then once he had that code inside me, he knew the combination, how can I get Greg to love me more and more? How can I get Greg right where he's at to love me more than he did before? Well, what that tells you is that combination is going to be different for every person. Oh, there may be similarities. Like I like food. I think there's most people around here like food. Hey, Jesus, if you can give us food, we'll like you. Jesus found that to be true when he came to the earth. People are like, oh, he's giving us bread. And it's cool. He's got this miracle. I don't care about the miracle. A lot of people said, I mean, that's cool. But what it ends up is I was hungry and I ate bread. So Jesus knows each one of us in particular what we like, what tickles us. Our particulars get tickled. And so he did that for me. And he knew deeply what I was interested in, that I might love him more. And he has been leveraging that. And so I sacredly imagine Jesus probably up in heaven turning to the angels and saying, you know what Greg really loves to do? He loves spreading the news. Start spreading the news. Oh, yeah, I want to spread the news, Jesus. Oh, that I were an angel. Yeah, Greg, here's the thing. I'm going to give you some news. I'm going to give you revelations. Oh, so cool. And I want you to go tell the whole world about these things. Really? What things? Oh, I've saved the best for you, Greg. You know, people have been looking forward to Zion, the coming forth of Zion, and I'm going to place you at the right time when, Zion's just coming out. It's going to be called Early Zion, and I'm going to let you tell everybody about it. Woo! I'm going to be excited. Jesus, that's awesome. I will love you forever if you let me do that. But he says there's a catch. What? Did you set me up, Jesus? He set me up. Yes, because yes, Jesus would begin to reveal to me Zion, and he would begin to involve me in building Zion, early Zion, and he would explain things about Zion to me, and he would give me pieces of Zion, literal pieces of Zion, things that 1,000 years from now people are going to be geeking out on in Zion. But there's a hitch, there's a catch. Jesus would set it up so that people around me, people close to me, they wouldn't believe it. Oh, they would interact with the things that Jesus gave me, pieces of Zion, but he would not let them feel that feeling. Instead, what they would feel is meh, M-E-H, the pearl of great nothing burger. For them, it was a nothing burger. Even if they thought, yeah, that's probably one of the things that will be in Zion, but yeah, I'm not interested. Now, why would Jesus do that? Why would Jesus do that? I'll tell you why Jesus would do that. Because that is one of the huge gifts in Zion. Is the people in Zion will have an understanding. You could call it a gift of understanding that one size fits one. They'll be of one heart and one mind and dwell in righteousness, but they will also realize that's between me and Jesus. That's between me and Jesus. Just between me and Jesus. They will have a personal relationship with Jesus so deep that that's probably TMI for other people. That's too much information or too not interesting to me. And that will be one of the features of Zion. And I am an early receiver of such thing, and it kind of hurts. It kind of hurts, Jesus. You give me things from Jesus, from heaven, and then I go share them, and people are like, yeah, that's nice, Greg. Well, here's the thing I know about Jesus things. It is nice, Greg. That's just might take you a little while to understand that it's nice and that it's from Jesus and that it makes sense. And so, one of the things that Jesus has done so that I might receive these things and not spew it out, go, ah, Jesus, this isn't good. If it's not going to have mass appeal, I'm not interested. I don't want to do that, Jesus. Now, if you want me to have whatever it is, classic rock songs that are redeemed or whatever else you might want me to receive, please help me receive these things. Lord, do what you can. And he is. One of the things he can do, it's called stretching. It's a prelude to being able to receive something. And that is quite normal to have a prelude. I will talk about that now in an intellectual way. Preamble, foreplay, precursor, introduction, whiskey, prelude hymns, stretches, requisite hunger. There are things that are, for some people, and maybe for most people, necessary antecedents to have the capacity to receive certain blessings. After a few drinks, she started looking a whole lot better. So did he. So too in my relationship with Jesus, I found that there are certain preludes, stretches of my mind necessary to believe some of the things that he invites me to believe. What I'm describing has a long history, both in religion and in ordinary life. Sometimes the blessing itself is not difficult to receive. The difficult part is acquiring the capacity to receive it. A person may be handed a treasure and yet be unable to recognize it as a treasure. A person may hear a truth and yet lack the framework necessary to believe it or use it. A person may be offered a gift and yet have no place inside themselves to put it. In that sense, the antecedent becomes part of the gift. The prelude matters. The warm-up matters. The stretching matters. The hunger matters. The foretaste matters. The preparation matters. In ordinary life, we see this everywhere. After hiking a mountain, the water tastes better. After fasting, the meal tastes better. After hard work, rest feels sweeter than ever. After studying a subject, insights become obvious that were invisible before. After a few drinks, some people perceive attractiveness differently. After falling in love, songs suddenly mean something they never meant before. The object may not have changed, the receiver changed. Perhaps many revelations work this way. Perhaps Jesus is not merely trying to tell us certain things. Perhaps he is first trying to create within us the capacity to hear them. This is one reason he often teaches line upon line, not because he lacks the ability to reveal everything at once, but because our minds and hearts frequently require a sequence of preparatory experiences before a larger truth can be revealed. Many of the mind stretches that Jesus does with me seem to function this way. I am not necessarily stretching in order to prove something is true. What I'm doing is stretching in order to become the kind of person who can comfortably entertain the possibility. help my unbelief, I asked the Lord. The Lord says, we stretch then, Greg. The stretch creates room inside me. The stretch creates capacity. The stretch creates a new container. Then later, a belief that once seemed impossible suddenly feels natural, not because the belief changed, but because I changed, or perhaps more precisely, because Jesus changed me. Here's a way you could say it. Some blessings require prerequisites, not because Jesus is withholding the blessing, but because he is enlarging my capacity to receive it. The prelude is often part of the gift. The hunger precedes the feast. The stretch precedes the inheritance. The capacity precedes the reception. Sometimes Jesus spends years preparing a mind for a truth that could be spoken in a single sentence. This movie is being made by Jesus and me for a very specific purpose: to prepare my mind and heart to receive something greater than I currently understand and am able to receive. At this point, the project has two parts, and you can see those at www.zioncoalition.org. You'll see on the homepage, on the main page, that's part two, I would say. Part two is the pathway for my mind to receive the thing that the Lord is preparing me to receive. Part one is actually the first thing you'll come to on that website, and it is the preflight. It's called preflight. So it's the preparation page. If you click on that, then you're taken to this video and other videos or writings at this point. Most of those are just writings. Those are things to help me. So think of that, I guess, as part one. That's, for my mind, that's what I do. The pre-flight is part one. It's a preparatory phase. And in that section, Jesus is helping me examine a series of beliefs and ideas that stretch my thinking and prepare me for the main training. What you are watching right now belongs to that preparatory phase. More specifically, Jesus is preparing me to embrace a broader and easier, more hopeful vision of how Zion will emerge, more hopeful than anybody I've ever heard talk about it, except for Jesus. Jesus is teaching me to see that he has already been preparing many of the things that will eventually become part of Zion. In a sense, Jesus has been preparing swords that he intends to turn into plowshares. Some of those preparations are obvious. Others are hidden. Some even appear ordinary, incomplete, or unholy until he redeems them and reveals their purpose. Part two, that's the main pathway at www.zioncoalition.org. That part two provides a focused example designed to help me and my mind and my heart understand this principle. That part two centers primarily on one song and one artist, his name being Axl Rose, the song being November Rain. It's an example that is intentionally narrow by Jesus so that I can see the pattern clearly. Once I can believe that Jesus prepared and redeemed one song in the way that he showed me and that he involved me with, we did it together, then I can begin to imagine how he may be doing similar things with other people on a much larger scale. If he can prepare one song and one artist, one story and weave them into his purposes, then perhaps he has been preparing countless people, ideas and technologies, works of art, and cultural artifacts and such for future use in Zion. Zion may be emerging faster than we know, faster than we can see. I believe that's what Jesus wants me to see. Why? He's my friend, and he knows that I'm interested in that kind of thing. And he wants me to show it, not necessarily so that I can inform everybody. No, I'm to go forward and tell everybody about it, but they're not supposed to listen to me. They'll be told by other prophets, I suppose. He wants me to develop eyes to see and recognize his preparations because, as I said, he wants me to love him more. And I'm impressed that my God is doing this. I am excited that he's doing this. It makes me want to love him more, makes me feel good, makes me trust him more. And even when these beliefs appear and these things that he's working on appear unfinished, even when they seem unlikely candidates for redemption, he's showing me how they might actually be redeemed. The pathway, both pathways, the stretching pathway or the preflight pathway, and then the main pathway, is not perfect. Jesus and I are still working through it together. I travel it, and then he and I adjust it. Like, okay, what do you want me to understand about that, Jesus? Okay, let me change that. Yet this process itself has expanded my understanding and strengthened my faith in ways I never anticipated. I sense that one of the central lessons that Jesus wants to teach me is the miraculous nature of Zion's emergence. Zion will not come forth merely through human effort. It will come through the power of God, working through preparations that he has been putting in place for a long time. His message to me is simple. Rest, Greg, rest. You want me to do something, Jesus? Yes. Rest and watch. Watch what I'm doing. And wait and stretch. And yes, declare, tell everybody. And then learn to see and enjoy. Final thing, that you'll see this on the stretch page. It's an important piece that Jesus has recently wrote, and I helped him write it. Jesus says, Greg, I set you up. I set it up so that you would receive treasures, gifts that you are now so obviously, that to you are so obviously valuable and wonderful, such that when you engage with these spiritual gifts, and I think he's talking about one of those is classic rock songs that have been redeemed. Yeah, when I'm engaging with those, or my Liahona, also called my Jesus Greg world, such that when you engage with these spiritual gifts, it feels like the words of the Book of Mormon probably felt to Joseph Smith and others, including myself. Sweet above all that is sweet. But, Jesus continues, I set you up so that very few other people, almost no one else in the world, would detect its sweetness, the things that you are finding sweet, great. They're like, yeah. I did this deliberately so that you can practice valuing treasures that I, Jesus, give you, independent of the crowd's approval. I want you to practice seeing treasure through heaven's eyes rather than public opinion. This ability is vital if you are to receive your inheritance and receive early Zion. And that references one of the main things that Jesus is doing on this pathway thing that he's doing. He intimates, he tells me that he has a large inheritance for me that I am to receive while I'm still mortal. And the only way I can receive this is these mind stretches, is this belief and this practice of receiving his treasures independent of public opinion. Just you and I, Greg, we can believe it. All right, Jesus, lead thou me on. Help my unbelief.